Good afternoon, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing the first DLC wave of Cadence of Hyrule, otherwise known as the Character Pack. But before I do that, I have a confession to make. I know a lot of you have come to depend on me a lot over these past 7 years of me being on YouTube, and I really hate to disappoint my loyal fan base, but the time has come for me to make a confession. I am guilty of prolonging a lot of this footage because I love the music in this game. No, in all seriousness, that was a jab against the toxic Smash Brothers community that's done all sorts of really terrible things, and I do plan on addressing that controversy and my thoughts on the disgusting nature of these criminals, but for now, it is not that time. Right now, it is time for me to fanboy like there is no tomorrow, because I loved Cadence of Hyrule back in 2019, and I am overjoyed with the chance to revisit it. However, I don't think it's fully worth revisiting until the rest of the DLC comes out. So, allow me to elaborate further. So just 2 days ago, Nintendo announced that there would be more paid content coming to Cadence of Hyrule. I think we all expected that there would only be free updates after Octavo's story was added via just a free update, but looks like Brace Yourself Games did well enough where they want to start making more of a profit on Cadence, and that's fine by me. More of an excuse to revisit Zelda in a musical format. This particular DLC wave comes with a couple of new characters that join the mode, as well as a couple of new modes that makes it a little bit more faithful to the original Crypt of the Necrodancer, just in case you are not a Zelda fanboy or fangirl, and are coming to this with a, ooh, Crypt of the Necrodancer is fun, who cares if it's got Zelda in it? A sequel to an indie game? That's cool by me. So you've got the dungeon mode, which basically gets rid of the overworld entirely and just creates a gauntlet of randomly generated, well, procedurally generated more accurately, dungeons. And these are brutally difficult and probably address the criticisms that fans of the original Crypt game said, oh, this is way too easy in comparison to Cadence's first adventure. There's also an all-characters mode, which is not as grand as it seems, believe me. Basically, instead of being thrust into a randomly generated dungeon with the character of your choice, you're thrust into a room with a gate that has an icon of every character available in the game. This includes the secret unlockable character from the main campaign, Octavo, who was released as an update character, all of the characters in the character pack, and of course the 3 main playable characters, Link, Zelda, and Cadence. You choose one, go through about 5 rounds of procedurally generated dungeons, and then all your progress gets erased, and the only thing that's left over to show of it is, oh, that dungeon is cleared. And I presume you get a reward for clearing every character's path, but let me tell you, not all these characters are created equal. So let's do a quick rundown of the major things that I noticed when playing with the characters, and in some cases just go into the Sheikah Stone to get a quick summary, because you really expect me to play through the main campaign like 8 more times? This review would probably not get done in quite a while if I did that. So first off, there's Impa, who's the only character that I'm going to be showing footage of, because she's the most approachable and unique of all the characters, and I really like the style of how she plays. So Impa uses naginatas, which is the Japanese version of a spear, to attack enemies that are 2 spaces away in a straight line. Now, in the original Cadence of Hyrule, I preferred using a broadsword, which allowed me to attack enemies that were 1 space diagonally away. However, this new Naginata approach works really well. I also like how Impa has the ability to teleport away from certain enemy attacks at the cost of some stamina. I never quite figured out the pattern for how to get her to do that, but it was much appreciated when she would jump out of the way of an enemy's attack without me even telling her to do that. And they have a nice costume that references Niburu from Ocarina of Time, or at least I think that's what it is. If you can tell me what this costume is supposed to be referencing, please let me know, because as a huge fan of most of the Zelda games, I really ought to know this information. Then there's Shadow Link and Shadow Zelda, which are, of course, based on the dark versions of Link and Zelda that have appeared in Zelda games for, well, ever since Zelda 2. Shadow Zelda hasn't. I think that one was just trying to be creative. Basically, they're pretty much functionally identical to the regular Link in Zelda, albeit when you start single character mode, your fairy companion will have a slightly different intro speech than she would with Link or Zelda. Shadow Zelda has a new version of Nehru's Love where it can reflect enemy attacks for 2 beats instead of just 1, and Shadow Link's spin attack can draw enemies in instead of pushing them away. So I guess that's a reference to how Smash Bros.'s Toon Link has a sucking in spin attack as opposed to regular Link's. I don't know. You be the judge. And they also have a unique death animation where they burst into bits of bats and ashes when they die, which happens a lot in the early game of Cadence of Hyrule. Then you've got Aria, who's a returning character from the original Crypt of the Necrodancer, who only has half a heart, which basically means 1 hit and she's dead. This is even worse by the fact that she takes damage if you miss the beat, so I presume if you want a super expert mode, that's the main reason why she's here. Now, I'm not sure if this go by the beat rule applies if you choose not to have a beat, as you can play this game traditional style, but still, half a heart, that's just brutal. Like, I thought the permadeath mode was a huge pain, but no, try beating the game with her even on the normal settings. Then you've got Frederick, who is one of the generic shopkeepers in this game. He may have also been in Crypt of the Necrodancer, but I never played that game. Basically, he's on a countdown timer where he starts out with 100 rupees, and as you go along, the rupees gradually drain, kind of like when you're wearing the magic armor in the main Zelda games, and once the rupees run out, then Frederick faints. However, he can also use that stack of rupees as projectiles. I was too busy being uninterested and frustrated by this new mechanic to actually care to play as him further, as playing a character that's essentially the magic armor, doesn't seem very exciting to me. And then, actually, I think I just covered all the characters. And that's about it. It really stinks that there's not really a good all-star mode to really test these characters out. While there is the all-characters mode, you really only play as one at a time. You don't get the opportunity to strategically switch between them like, say, World of Light or Kirby Star Allies. It's really more of a, hey, can you beat the game with every character? In that case, I guess I would respect the developers for giving players a reason to return to the world of Cadence of Hyrule for the sake of, hey, the original game was too short. Let's have a reason to replay it more than just the standard once or twice. Let's replay it as much as the other Zelda games. If that's their reason, then I guess that's pretty cool. But for someone like me who found most of the characters hit or miss, I found that I think I might want to replay the game with Impa because she's pretty cool, but the other characters I see as maybe an added bonus for future DLC packs, but nothing to get excited about right now. I also forgot to mention that there's one more mode that you can trigger called Mystery Mode, where all of the items and enemies are replaced with question marks, so that you basically have to guess what their type is based on their movement, I think? Didn't seem like a mode that appealed much to me, because in the dungeon mode, there's a shrine that turns everything into question marks, and I hated that. So I don't know if I'd want to play an entire game that used such an odd gameplay mechanic. So, I really hate for this review to be so short. I wish I could be one of those YouTubers that has to make everything 10 minutes just to pad it out so that they can get a decent paycheck, but that's really all there is to it. More characters to pad out the runtime of Cadence of Hyrule until the more substantial DLC packs come. So with that, I give this Challenger pack, an average 10 out of 20. Not terrible, but definitely could have been better. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and oh, who am I kidding? I'm gonna pad this out to 10 minutes, but with the music! Enjoy!